I've been diving into this Black Swan investment method lately, especially how it applies to new IPOs on the Nasdaq. It's pretty eye-opening stuff.
Really? What's the gist of it?
Well, the idea is to build a portfolio that includes all the newly listed companies starting from their second day of trading.
Wait, that's a lot of companies. How does that even work?
Exactly. It's about embracing randomness and statistics to catch the next big thing like Amazon or Tesla.
So you're basically betting on hitting a jackpot among many.
Yeah, kind of like that. The method leverages the concept of Black Swan events, unpredictable but highly impactful occurrences.
But how do you decide when to jump in? Do you invest in every single IPO?
Well, there are two main strategies. You either invest in every new IPO as they happen, or you time your investments based on the Federal Reserve's monetary policy.
How does the Fed's policy come into play?
When the Fed adopts an expansionary policy, you start investing in new IPOs. If they shift to a restrictive policy, you pause and hold cash in short-term ETFs.
So it's about aligning with market conditions to maximize gains and minimize losses?
Exactly. It helps limit losses during downturns and capitalize when the market's favorable.
Interesting. But managing all those companies must be a headache. How do you decide which ones to keep?
You start by building up to a portfolio of 100 newly listed companies. Once you hit 100, each month you swap out the worst performers with new IPOs.
So you're constantly cycling through companies to keep the portfolio fresh?
Yeah, it keeps the portfolio dynamic and increases the chances of catching that one breakout success.
Do you have any numbers to back this up? It sounds a bit risky.
Actually, simulations show returns over 500% in 40 months compared to 143% for a traditional aggressive Nasdaq 100 portfolio.
That's impressive, but it almost sounds too good to be true.
Well, no investment is without risk.
True.
But extreme diversification and a long-term approach help mitigate that.
Still, investing in companies you know nothing about seems a bit reckless.
I get that. But the point is, we can't predict which company will be the next big thing. By investing in all of them, we don't miss out on the ones that could make a huge difference.
It's like casting a wide net to catch a few big fish.
Exactly. And over time, those few big winners can outweigh the losses from the others.
Can you give me an extreme example?
Sure. Imagine you invest $100 in each new IPO. With $10,000, you have 100 companies. If 99 fail completely, but one turns into the next Nvidia or Amazon, that one could skyrocket and double your entire initial investment.
Really? Just one company can make that big of a difference?
Yeah, for instance, Nvidia saw over a 900% increase in 5 years. So even if all others tanked, your $10,000 could become $19,000 because of that one winner.
That's wild. But isn't it unlikely that 99% of companies would fail?
Exactly. That's an extreme case. In reality, more companies would perform moderately well, enhancing your returns even further.
But you need a long-term horizon for this to work, right?
Definitely. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. You need at least a 5-year outlook. But 10 or 15 years is where it gets really powerful.
But what about the risks during a market downturn?
That's where timing with the Fed's policy helps. You pause investing when the policy is restrictive and hold cash instead.
I see. So you're not just blindly investing all the time.
Exactly. It's strategic. By aligning with market conditions, we reduce risks and enhance potential returns.
Well, it still feels a bit like throwing darts blindfolded.
I get your skepticism, but history shows that unpredictable successes do happen, and by diversifying broadly, we position ourselves to benefit from those Black Swan events.
Fair enough. Maybe I'm just more risk-averse.
And that's totally fine. This strategy isn't for everyone, but for those willing to embrace uncertainty. The rewards can be significant.
So what's the next step if someone wants to try this out?
Well, starting next month, keep an eye on new IPOs and consider investing even small amounts like $100 or $200 per month.
Consistently investing over time to build up that portfolio?
Exactly. And remember, it's about the long game. Patience is key here.
You've given me a lot to think about. Maybe it's time to revisit my investment strategy.
Glad to hear it. Just make sure to do your due diligence and invest responsibly.
Absolutely. And hey, maybe in 10 years we'll be celebrating our own Black Swan success stories.
Here's hoping.
Good morning. This is the in-depth analysis of the podcast you just watched, which we will do at the end of each episode. First of all, I would like to point out that the argument that 99% of the companies in the portfolio fail is just an extreme example. Let's get really specific. Imagine investing $100 in every newly listed company. With $10,000, you build a portfolio of 100 companies. Suppose 99% of them fail and you lose everything. You're left with just one winning company. If that single company grows like Nvidia, Tesla, or Amazon over the last 5 years, how much could your initial $100 investment be worth? Take Nvidia. Over the last 5 years, NVIDIA has seen remarkable growth in its stock price. In February 2020, the stock price was around $66.25. In June 2024, the company performed a 10-for-1 stock split, increasing the number of shares outstanding and decreasing the price per share proportionately. Currently, as of February 2025, the stock price is $138.85. Considering the split, the current value would be $1,388.50 per share before the split. This represents an increase of over 1,900% from the 2020 price. Even if all the others fail, you have still almost doubled your capital in 5 years, going from $10,000 to $19,000. This is an extreme example because it seems unlikely to me that 99% of companies recently listed on the Nasdaq can fail. Sooner or later, the unicorn arrives. This is well explained in the book How to Earn with Black Swans by Alessandro Piergentili, and if you are interested in learning more, I leave the link below. But as it is true for NVIDIA, it is true for many companies, and 5 years in an investment like this is very little. If you broaden the time horizon, you can have results that change your life. As you can see from the calculations we have done, we do not want to add the performance of a portfolio of $500 over 15 years in 5 companies on the Nasdaq, because it is truly incredible. We leave the fun to you. This is possible to replicate, but we do not know in advance which will be the next winning companies on the Nasdaq. We are not magicians, so we buy them all.
Hello, if you found the concepts expressed in this podcast useful, I invite you to subscribe so as not to miss the next episodes. The information provided in this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. Black Swan Strategies and its authors are not responsible for any financial losses resulting from the use of the information provided. Investments involve risks, including the loss of invested capital. This podcast collaborates with some brokerage and financial firms selected for safety, quality, and convenience of the services offered. We may receive a commission for any registrations or trading activities through our affiliate links. We encourage you to always do your own research before investing. By listening to this podcast, you agree to exonerate authors, producers, and guests from any legal liability arising from the use of the information discussed.